Hello, everybody, and thank you for listening to another episode of the No Fluff MSP Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Taher Hamid. I've got my co-host here.
Welcome back, Stephen Badorf. Always glad to see you. Don't say it.
I'm not going to say it. All right. So I know we've been a little inconsistent with the podcast lately, and today we're filming quite a few to make sure that if you're listening to this, don't worry. We have the next few scheduled out.
Back to the usual process of bulk recording.
Yes. It's been super busy. If you've listened to the Q2 update, you kind of know what we're working on. Working on a lot of cool stuff. We're implementing a lot of cool stuff right now. I mean, Steven's up to adding 4 new pieces of content on the site a day with his team right now, which seems like an easy thing to do, but it's not at the quality we would like to stick to. So good shit, Steven. And yeah, so we're getting more consistent with the podcast. The other thing, real quick, before we jump into today's episode, I just posted on my LinkedIn that we are currently have open applications for any MSP that has a proven and direct ROI marketing or sales initiative that they're willing to share on the podcast.
Yep.
And we're paying $1,000 cash to be on the podcast for an hour. No, for all the listeners that have been on the podcast, it's not retroactive. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd be saving a lot of money or making up a lot of money.
You'd be like rich. So yeah, that any listener right now, if you like hit something that you're like, wow, this is really, really working. Sorry, this cord is like, there we go. Wow, this is really working for MSP. It's something unique. It's something cool. And you're willing to share, even if it's something that we've covered on this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like we've covered a bunch of stuff. Telemarketing, direct mail, networking events, whatever. But you found something unique that is really working for you and you're willing to share with our tiny and niche audience. We're willing to pay $1,000 for that. I see podcasts that speakers have to pay to be on the podcast, like quite a bit.
Yeah.
To me, there's no better way of having a terrible podcast than making them pay to be on the podcast, right? Because then what's their incentive? They got to sell something. Whereas if we're paying somebody to be on the podcast and we're going to pay before they come on, so there's no pressure.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, are we going to pay or not? It's like you get the $1,000 even before you come on. One guy who's coming on, he's donating 100% of it to the Boys and Girls Club, which I thought was pretty cool. Obviously, you don't have to do that. You could just buy whatever you want with it. But okay, cool. So just want to do that quick announcement because it's pretty fresh. Today, we're going to be talking about creating a video for everything. We've covered in video content for the win in a previous episode, but in this one we want to get a little bit more specific, Stephen and I, as well as a little bit more of a catchy title, so hopefully have more engagement on this one. So there's a lot we're going to talk about. We're going to go kind of high level, and then we're going to get really specific on how to do this and some specific things that you need to incorporate video into. So staying high level at the beginning, you've heard of a video sales letter, I'm sure. I mean, almost everybody has. It's when you land on a landing page. If you're building funnels, you land on a video sales letter. And that was almost like, I don't want to say revolutionary, but it was a big impact on digital marketing because now all of a sudden their conversion rate went up so much through this video sales letter. And it's almost obvious, like, well, yeah, of course, putting a video on the page that somebody can watch and interact with and get to know you and learn from you is going to have a bigger impact than a bunch of text and images.
Yep.
Right, Stephen?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yet, even though video sales letters have made a massive impact on digital marketing and it's clear that the conversion rate goes up, still us as MSPs drop the ball on this all the time. All of the time. There's MSPs that don't have a video on their homepage. They don't have a video on their service pages. They don't have a video on their contact page. They don't have videos on their site.
Yeah, there's an effort barrier there compared to like images and text, I feel like.
That's such a good way to put it. That's exactly why it's happening.
Yeah.
There is an effort barrier.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. And I see MSP camp members that will take like the motion graphic video and rebrand it for themselves, like for each services, and they'll put that on their service page. I love that.
Yeah, that's
I
ideal.
love that because it's like, sure, maybe you don't want to do it yourself. I recommend doing it yourself. But hey, we got these awesome videos anyway. You can do that too. That's totally fine. It's just the reality of video is the most powerful way of getting somebody to convert, bar none. And so we have to get really comfortable using video, which I think why today is going to be such an important podcast. So we're going to go over how do you do it, why do you do it, and specifics on when to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on that, Stephen?
Yeah, let's jump right in.
All right,
Let's do
cool.
it.
So you had a point here on social media and
Yeah, just kind of adding on to like, because like you're saying for video sales letter, landing pages, like video stands out immediately. And I was just thinking like with social media as well, like it's good to have images, text explaining things, and we always recommend a mix. But
totally.
video, like I think social media is a great way of showing just like how much it stands out. Because if you're just scrolling on a page, a video pops up, starts auto playing, that's going to catch your attention much more than an image will, even if that image has something wild. I feel like
Totally.
if the same thing is in a video, there's a higher chance of just getting your engagement.
Totally.
So I was just thinking like in a smaller scale, like that really sums up how video stands out.
Yep. And when I look at our ads, both for MSP Camp and MSPs that we help, the videos are the ones that are converting the highest.
Mm-hmm.
They have the highest engagement rate, highest conversion rate, right? And it's clear. There's so much data. There's so many reasons why to do it. And yet still we don't, which I get. Because it's exactly what you said, Stephen. There's an effort barrier. And we're going to explain how to get over that barrier as well. So one example of this, well, one, there's two examples before we dive in. One, why do you think YouTubers make so much money? Like, why do YouTubers make so much money? It's the ultimate medium, video. That's it. It's the ultimate medium. And then another point is we created an epic superhero motion graphic video for Mike at Techie Geeks. I've talked about Mike a couple times. I just love what he's doing. He's got his own podcast. He goes hard on the superhero theme. He's not even an MSP Camp member, which I'm a little sad about, but you know, hurt our feelings, but he's been on the podcast, just a great guy. And he's had us build this like beautiful, like
specific to his
brand, motion graphic videos, thousands of dollars. And he's sending it out in a video box. These things are very expensive. And he's sending that to direct mail to these different hundreds of prospects. Like I think each box is like $30 or something.
Yeah.
That is how much this guy likes video, is that he's willing to send a video through the mail just so somebody can see his video, because they will. They get this box. It's impressive. They open it up. Well, what's in the box? It's a video. That's all that's in the box. It's branded well, and there's a video. That's how powerful video is. And when that prospect gets that and they watch that video and there's this 2 minutes like epic superhero battle explaining their services with their troubleshoot guy that ends it.
Yeah, their mascot specifically in it.
With how to call them afterwards. I mean, if you're the prospect, you'll be like, man, this is someone that truly cares, and it's going to get their attention.
Yeah, and I mean, thanks to them, the reason we were able to make it so like one-on-one so stand out compared to other like videos and things is just because there was a lot of work in the beginning with them who were helping us get the information we needed. They had ideas of how they want to integrate their mascot, things like that. So I mean, totally. I think that's when you're saying too, when like you need to personalize a video for yourself. It's great to take our motion graphic videos, but there are things specific to your MSP that if you can integrate them to a video, a viewer will notice immediately, and it just stands out so much because that effort barrier is completely broken. You didn't just put a video up. You have a video that is yours for your MSP, basically.
Totally. And the next episode is we're going to be talking about custom content versus MSP Camp content, or really custom content versus templates, right? We're going to go over exactly what Steven just said, but in a lot more detail to give you really specifics on when you should be using our content or some other provider's content versus custom content. It's going to be super actionable, so you can go, okay, when and where do I use which? All right, moving on. Let's get right into it. The first thing I want to say is that there's absolutely no excuses not to make video. I mean, unless you're like just not comfortable on camera, like that's actually a legitimate excuse. But if it's like, I don't have gear, right? Like I don't have the right setting or I don't have gear. Like if those excuses, there's no excuses. Now, if you're really just not comfortable with camera, it's going to take you time to get on camera, or you're going to need somebody else to do the camera. Like that's a personality thing. Like I kind of get that. But if it's just like, oh, I'm waiting until I have a backdrop in a studio in a whatever, I'm going to give you some really specific examples right now on MSP Camp. All of our tech tips before we moved into this epic office was just on a white wall.
Yeah.
With some shitty Amazon lights for like
if you saw our setup, like without how it looked on the video, you'd be surprised, I feel like.
You would. And we were rolling out to hundreds of members that loved it, right? We just shot phase 1 of the MSP Camp course, which was a fairly complex video series. I have a $4,000 Panasonic camera setup that we're using right in here, actually on this podcast, what you're looking at if you're watching the YouTube video. But we didn't use it for the course. The most important video of MSP Camp, we didn't use this nice camera. What did we use, Steven?
Just an iPhone.
We just used an iPhone. We used an iPhone with $30 microphones, right? And you can kind of hear on the microphone. But at the end of the day, it didn't prevent us from going like, we got to film this. It's not as easy on this Panasonic. We kind of need a wider screen. I don't want to spend $1,000 on a wide screen.
We need to get this video
lens.
done.
We got to get this video done. Pull out the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
The quality was great. So no excuses. That's just something that we have to hit on real quick. And then here's the other thing. Like, there are these wonderful, like you see on LinkedIn, like if you follow me, you see on my LinkedIn, like when you have this talking head video, what happens now? There's this text that comes up. There's this like all this shit
they're
that
being
happens.
moved around
Yeah,
rather
they're
than
being
static
moved
in one
around.
position.
Yeah, look at any of our tech tips. When I make a point, like a static or a stock video plays that really relates to the point. This is proven to have higher engagement on social media, but most people go, I have no idea how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't compete. I have no idea. That sounds so complicated and crazy and whatever. Here's the secret. You can literally shoot a video, a minute, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, just send it to our store. Say, hey, edit this video. We will send you back an edited video in 48 hours that looks like that crazy professional stuff you have on LinkedIn, and we'll charge what, like $150 for it? I forget what we put on the store.
I believe it's 150. Yeah.
We're not making money. We're supporting you and saying, just no excuses. Get this video out. If you have a cool idea, if you have a service page, if you have something you want to do, we can edit that video for you and have it back to you in literally 2 days. You don't have to tell us what you want. You don't have to tell us what you need. You don't have to tell us how to edit it. We're marketing people. Just send us the video. We'll make it better than what you think.
Yep.
Right? Like, so there's no excuses. If you're listening to this podcast, if you've been a listener, there's no excuses to start getting some video going. Now, again, if you're not a comfortable person on camera, I get it. We and Steven are lucky that we are just cool with this kind of stuff. Some people are not. Practice makes perfect, though. If you're fine with getting uncomfortable, go with it. If not, if you have a marketing salesperson that's more comfortable, that's fine. Have them do it. Totally fine. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No, you nailed it.
Anything on that before we get specifically into the practical applications of video?
I mean, I think it really is just like getting past that barrier of like, I keep saying barrier a lot, but like that paralysis by analysis of, oh, I don't have the backdrop, so I'll put this video off for another week, that sort of thing. 'Cause
Totally.
I mean, even before the podcast clips started getting more edited as we do them now, we were still uploading the ones when they were just unedited and just had us
100%.
talking, because that video is still better than not having anything up there.
Dude, you just nailed it. Yeah, even before, now that we have all this awesomeness we sent out, before it was just, literally a clip of us talking.
Mm-hmm.
And it still had amazing engagement.
Yeah.
It's so true. And that's such a great point, Steven. There was one other thing I was going to mention, but I forgot. So we'll just keep moving. Anything else on that before we move into the practical applications?
Yeah, I think we just keep on moving. I mean, I know I had a point on there that I was going to mention, kind of more like presentation-wise, if you're not as comfortable on camera.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times, I think when I was starting out, I was like, oh, we need to write down the script of everything I want to say. I want to have everything I want to say here, because that's going to make it easier for the video to be shot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in our experience, too, our best work has come from, like, we have our main points outlined, obviously, but then it's also like, okay, how do we fill in the gaps here with the knowledge we have? Because we know that if you're covering on a topic that is engaging to your members, there's a very good chance that you know a lot about it.
Good point.
So if you have those main point outlined, you can bridge them together.
Totally.
And actually like have a conversation rather than like, oh, it's a robot voice video, which is like an AI generated script. It's like, no, this
100%.
is a comprehensive video with your own personal touch.
Absolutely. You don't have to have it written out because you're an expert. You may not be an expert in the topic, but you're interested in the topic, so it's going to come out.
Yeah.
Like, dude, so spot on. All right, so here we're going to move into practical applications of video. What are some specific areas that you need to be doing video? Obviously, the title of this, Create a Video for Everything. That's a little bit of a hyperbole. Let's go into
everything.
Literally everything.
Next section.
Everything you're talking about. Okay, so the first one up is prospecting, right? There's a friend of mine that uses a service, I think it's called like Bomb or something, where when you're engaging with a prospect, you can send them a custom video. Hey, thanks for, I checked out your profile. You work here, really personalized video. It's going to do way better than a LinkedIn message or a cold email. Sure, you're still going to have to grind to get a lead from it, but an individualized video to a prospect is going to have a much higher engagement rate than almost anything else.
I would be surprised if I started watching a video. It's like, oh, it's just like the contact us video, and then they mention you by name.
Yeah.
That would work for me.
And that's exactly why Mike at Techie Geeks is sending a $35 box to prospects just so they can watch this video.
Yeah.
So that's the first one, prospecting. Another really good example of this, and during the sales prospects. When I say prospecting, not just cold lead generation, but during the sales cycle. I was listening to a great episode, a great podcast by Ravi Abuval or something. He's like a digital marketing guy. And he was basically saying, because he's a big company, right? He's not the guy running the sales. But if he has salespeople that are struggling to close the deal, they implemented one thing. It's a 2-minute video. They call it a red zone alert, and it goes into his board as a task, and it says, hey, this is someone that's struggling to close. Ravi then makes a personalized 2-minute video for that person that's really specific about their challenges, really specific about even answering some of the problems they have in their business right now that might like fix their solution. And then it's like, if you want to move forward, just reach out to, he says, the account manager's name, and we'll get things moving. He said that one 2-minute video helped them to close an extra couple $100,000 per month. Obviously, they're a large company, but that's a huge number for any company.
Yep.
And so how do we use that in their MSP? Well, if we're a larger MSP and we have a salesperson that is struggling to close, cool, a personalized video from the CEO that's, maybe also in the same philanthropy as the CEO that the salesperson's talking to, right? There's ways that we can use video in the prospecting to really help close deals. Here's one other example. I hate to give so many examples, but it's just we've used this so much and I hear this so much. I love it. During an RFP for one of our largest clients, they had an RFP for a bunch of different MSPs, and it's like, how the hell are we going to stand out? We're inside of a sweet data center, or Alltech is. I love it, and I love giving people a tour. It's part of our sales process is to give them a tour of the gym and the data center and all the offices. We have 3 offices in this building, blah, blah, blah. Well, they couldn't come on the site because they were doing an RFP. Right? They had 10 MSPs. They can't have 10 MSPs all going to everybody's site. So what I did is me and Steven, we created a custom video tour of our offices.
Yep. They were getting the tour no matter what. Yep.
They were getting the tour no matter what.
Yep.
I wasn't going to say, no, you don't get the tour. I just had to adapt it to a video. Steven just followed me around again with a phone, I think.
It was just an iPhone.
Just an iPhone, right? No excuses, no barriers. They met the entire team. Every person on the team was stoked to talk about their position and how they help and how they couldn't wait to support this client, use the client's name all the time. And at the end, we all got together as a team and said, we can't wait to work with you, client. And we all waved. And then there was a joke where I walked behind the camera and I asked Maurice, like, oh, wait, was it recording? He goes, no. Right. And it ended the video in this really fun humor way. And it was so personalized to that client.
They're also like, wow, they got the entire office together to say goodbye at the end.
That's how much this MSP cares. And the reality is that video took us like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But to them, it's like nobody's doing a video for us because of that effort barrier. But it's not that much effort.
Yeah.
It is not that much effort.
It wasn't overly scripted. It was,
no.
Here's the camera. We know what we want to talk about because we're already preparing for the sales meeting.
Yep.
Let's get this on video and meet the team face to face. And then, yeah.
Totally.
Paid off.
It paid off big. Largest client ever. So not saying like it's just the video that did that, but what a wonderful way to tie it together. All right, cool. Moving on. We do have a little bit more to cover. I hope this has been helpful so far. Stick with us. I promise we got some good juice coming. Wow, that was lame. All right, moving on.
I haven't heard that one before. I'm excited for the good juice.
Got orange juice, got grape juice. All right, so the biggest, if you're not doing this and you are an MSP Camp member, fix this today, literally today.
Mini challenge of the week before the challenge of the week.
Ooh, yeah, there it is. Service pages and homepage, you have to have a video. You have to have video.
Yep.
Period. That's it. Moving on. It's excellent selling opportunity. Someone lands on your homepage. Someone lands on each service page. If they land on your service page or on cybersecurity, that is a prospect, potentially, that is interested in your cybersecurity services. What? Why are we not taking full advantage of that?
Yeah, seriously. Rather than wall of text.
Yeah. So, yeah, we got to get a video there for sure.
Especially a homepage, too. Next to probably having people on your homepage from your actual company,
Totally.
that's right next to it. Having a video there as well. If you can get both of those, instant engagement boost.
Totally.
100%.
When we were launching MSP Camp, every single page on MSP Camp, like the old site, had a video. The templates page, the campaigns page, the store page, every single page had a video because we understood a lot of people didn't know what MSP Camp was. We didn't want them to scare it off. So every page was like a 2-minute, like, hey, hold on. So what this is, right? It wasn't even selling them like, look how awesome this page is. It's like, hey, so what this is this, and this is how we help with these things, right? Because in the beginning of MSP Camp, we had to over-explain what was going on. Now we don't have to as much, right? Now we have a YouTube channel, other ways for people to engage with those.
There's still an overview video on both sides.
There's still a lot of video for sure. All right, moving on. Did you have a point on this, Steven?
I don't know if I put down anything differently. I think you nailed it.
Okay.
I mean, most of my
you already mentioned
most of my comments on it is just like, service pages, like we said earlier, pulling those motion graphics that we have for each campaign up there, branding them, putting your logo on them, having those service pages already leaps and bounds ahead of just having text or a header and a photo.
Totally.
Like throwing in a video there too. I mean, there's not much else to say to it. Just do it.
Totally, 100%. One other tip on this is, I know some people say to use like Vimeo because then it's like, oh, it's only, I forget why some people go Vimeo. It's
something also with like the suggestions at the end of the video. Okay. Vimeo doesn't have the same
exactly.
Setup. Yep.
So this is one of the most beautiful things is because they're usually logged in when they're on your site and they watch your YouTube video on your site. Now when they go to YouTube, guess what they're going to start getting recommended? More of your content because they've watched your video and it's a YouTube link. It's just embedded on your website. And now when they go to YouTube, they see more of your content. And we're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Oh, totally. All right, moving on. You know we're advocates of tech tips. We love tech tips. Tech tips and business-related content that your target market might be searching. We do a lot of tech tips. We just find them helpful. I mean, we do other tips on cybersecurity and fiber, and just like we do campaigns, but tech tips really are just helping the prospect with something that they might find quite helpful.
Yep.
It's not going to be people banging down your door to work with you, but like you're building this authority. It really is helpful. Trust me. Like over the years of us doing it, tech tips are great.
You're building your library of tips.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we actually now have universities and a lot of the websites we manage because we have all this great, helpful, knowledge-based content.
Yep.
Because we're obsessed with video. And, I've even kind of been, I don't know if this is a strong recommendation, but I've even been telling people like, look, these local search terms like IT support in Winter Haven, IT services and Las Vegas or whatever, create a video, a YouTube video around that. YouTube's like the second most searched platform other than Google in the world. And Google loves adding video snippets. You can see this anytime you do Google now. It shows video snippets on almost any search.
Yep.
And yeah, they're not doing it yet for like IT support X, IT service X, but it's probably because there's not enough good content around that. But if you actually create an amazing piece of content like buyer's guide for IT support in your city, and it's like 10 minutes and it's super helpful, I could see Google saying when someone searches that term, hey, this is a YouTube video that people like.
Yep.
I haven't seen that yet, but I mean, Google just keeps using more and more and more video. We're not slowing down on video.
And I think you nailed it. It's just like something that's not happening in the IT space currently. So
not at all.
Yep.
I made that recommendation to Alltech, because we rank really well for a lot of things. And I'm like, look, video is continuing to grow. I think y'all should make a series of videos around these different topics. I sent a bunch of keywords. They haven't done it yet, but they seem really engaged. And honestly, if they do that, even if it doesn't pay off, it's not that much effort for something that probably will lead to leads eventually. So like, let's just do it. Let's get it up. And at least now we have that wonderful piece of content that we can put on the site or we can send to prospects when they're looking. And there's tons of stuff you can do with that content. Go look back on our episode on, what was it, like maximizing content or how to sell with your content. So there's tons of options on what to do with content.
Yeah, it was maximizing. And I mean, I think it also just ties in really well with like, we always preach about like, do not have a static website. So what better way of updating than a video integrated in any one of your pages? Like after the service pages are done, I mean, blogs too. If you have a blog that's working great, like we should put a video. Because I know that the Microsoft 365 like business premium one that was used for Alltech, we had a video.
We added that video
before that, added to the top, and engagement kept growing for it.
Kept growing, 100%. Got a huge co-managed opportunity out of that page. So, in speaking of updating and static websites or static marketing, pretty much, you know, the onboarding experience. Why not have a video? One thing that this MSP friend of ours keeps saying is he wants to redo his onboarding experience to almost like a quasi course. And it has like an intro video and it has like what to expect. And I just love that idea so much. I love that idea so much. Like where a client comes in and every user can get this video. And there's like the management video that takes them through this course. And then there's like a user experience that takes them through this course. And I say course, it could just be a couple modules.
Yep.
And Aaron's talked about this a couple of times now. And I'm like, just do it, Aaron. Just do it, Aaron. Like, please do it because it will pay off big. We talked about new client experience in the last episode or maybe a couple episodes ago. And what a wonderful way to use video. We've had, with our onboarding for MSP Camp, we've updated that video like 4 times.
Yep.
We've had to update that video so many times, including just a couple weeks ago because we launched the course, right? And that's fine.
Yeah, seriously.
Totally fine. It's totally fine to update it. Again, it took maybe an hour. And because we don't want to keep it static. We don't want someone to see the onboarding video and it shows like the old site or it shows stuff that's no longer relevant. So we have to update that all the time. And as long as you are in the mindset of get everything on video, updating a video is not scary.
Yeah. And most of the time, if you're updating one previously, like the one you record next is going to be better besides just the new content because you've already had it practice recorded one time.
Exactly. Yep. It gets better every time. There have been times where me and Steven recorded an entire 40-minute podcast and a video and everything, and it didn't work. Like something messed up.
It was a dark time when we were not. It was like 3 in a row, but
of the same episode.
Yeah.
But the final product was so much, objectively, so much better than the first one we recorded.
We don't recommend accidentally.
Yeah, we don't
not recording your video, but
the silver linings. All right, cool. I'm thinking this might need to be a 2-part. Let me see how far are we in? Yeah, we're already 30 minutes in. Okay, so we might need to do a 2-part on this one, honestly. So let's keep going. So if we do a 2-part, this is the part in the episode where we're going to say, this is part 1, and we'll see you on part 2 next week. So I'm going to go ahead and just say that in case we do split this up. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
Goodbye. Or not.
Or not.
Or maybe.
We'll see you in post. We'll see you in editing. All right. So we've talked about...
Welcome back if this is part
2. Okay. So thank you for listening to No Fluff MSP Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Taher Hamid.
I'm Steve Bowder. Welcome back.
And today we're going to be talking part 2 of the video series, if this is actually a part 2. All right. So we've talked about practical applications of video, prospecting. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. If you got a whale on there, send him a video, custom video, something awesome, as well as through the sales process, service pages and home pages. Get a video up there today. If you're an MSP Camp member, grab one of the million videos we have that are awesome and ready to run. Number 3, tech tips and business related content. Another example of that is we moved into this awesome new office and we got a video tour of it. You know, we got a bunch of views and comments from happy members and excited members, which we love you guys. Thank you so much for the positive feedback. Seriously. When we moved, this is a good one. When we moved into all tech for the first time, when we moved into the data center, I think it was like 5 years ago now, I got a video of the building process of the new office because it was so exciting. And I see members that are moving a new office right now and they're doing the same thing. I love it. Keep it up. Well, one of our techs shared, and I've said this story on the podcast before. One of our techs shared that video that I made on his personal Facebook because he was stoked about it. It was Tim. Mm-hmm. And one of their friends worked at a large local law firm. And she said, I didn't even know that that's what you did. We're struggling right now with our IT. Can we meet with you? We closed that deal, and that was like $9,000 a month. And here's the thing when it comes to marketing, especially in the MSP space. A lot of times the MSP owner, and you need to not think this way, is that's a referral.
Oh yeah.
That's what they think. Oh, well, that's a referral. Our marketing's not working. That's a referral. It's like, how did we get the referral? It was because of the marketing
Yep.
and because of a wonderfully engaged employee. So that's when we talk about marketing being multifaceted, because it really and truly is, you know?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
And that client is still a client. They're a great client, and they have referred us other clients. And all of that ROI comes back to a video.
Yep.
All right, cool. Moving on. Ooh, I'm going to let you take this one, Steven. This is your bread and butter. SOPs.
Oh yeah. So I mean, this was one I included on there just because I mean, based on we've talked about already in part 1, part 2, this is the whole video, but basically, I mean, like video just communicates better. I'm not saying you can't communicate well with text and images, things like that, but video just has an intrinsic ability to communicate better.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when we used to, for MSP Camp, or just even at Alltech too, if we had an SOP of how to do something, at first it was all done in like Word documents.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd be like, okay, yeah, jump in, include text 1, 2, 3 of what's happening, use the snipping tool to take a picture of your home screen of what's happening, and then we'll use this as the SOP.
Yep.
And then what we were finding, and what I was finding too, is like reading these SOPs and also being the one creating them and sending them to other people, you're still getting the questions, because it's just you can't communicate the same thing with here's a screenshot of this and I circle the button you need to go to.
Mm-hmm.
But things change. I mean,
yep,
that needs to be updated. Sometimes people don't know exactly where to go, even when it's in the static image. And it's just when those same SOPs were turned into a video, completely changed it, many less questions, and it gives the person the ability to teach it themselves.
Yes.
I think with the Word documents too, it was like, okay, I'm reading through this. I'm retaining it for as long as I'm reading this document. Out of my head, I'm going to have to come back to this Word document again. When you watch the video and see it happen, completely changes, and then you can teach it to other people, and they're trained up as well as you were, basically.
Dude, 100%. Steven going hard on video SOPs has been a game changer for us, because it's like, it's so crazy. Like we onboarded like 30 social media management clients, and I was like, this is going too smoothly. It's going too smoothly. Like, what is going on? And that's because Maddie knew exactly what she was doing. She had everything as a video because she learned from Steven. When we hired the next social media coordinator, she had all of those videos to answer any of the questions this coordinator might have. So it didn't slow down Maddie and her work, and that person truly felt comfortable and confident in doing their work. Imagine if it was a bunch of Word documents.
Yeah. And then I've another thing too, is just like working with the design team and clients sometimes too. It's like if there's something where it's like, oh, we're emailing back and forth about something, they have a question, I'm usually like, hey, instead of emailing, can you jump on a quick call? That sort of thing.
Totally.
And then they've got it.
Yep. 100%. And so practical applications for the MSP, it's like, well, one, internal SOPs, but also if your client's asking the same question over and over again, if you ever read They Ask You Answer, I mean, this is a perfect example of how he does content, Marcus Sheridan or something. But if you keep getting a question from a client, or even twice, make a video answering the question.
Yep.
And if not only is it good for posting on your YouTube and good content for social media and everything else, if you get a question like that from a prospect or a client again, you have the resource there.
Here's a video I've already created.
Perfectly answering your question.
That's a wow factor.
That's a wow factor. And the effort, again, I'm so glad you said that on part 1 of the video. It's like, it's the, what did you say?
Which part?
The effort.
Oh, the effort barrier.
Effort barrier. Like, it seems like there's this massive effort barrier to video.
Yeah.
And there is not. Every single one of us has a 4K camera in our pocket right here. It's a phone. It's an iPhone. 4K, beautiful, easy to use, easy to transport to your computer, airdrop it to whatever. So, yeah. Video.
And it's true. I mean, yeah, there were times in the past too where we were like, oh, we have to record this video, but we got to wait. I think before we used iPhone, kind of it was like, oh, we need to wait until we have the Panasonic camera. We can record in 4K, ultimate quality, all this stuff. And then it's like, okay, just shoot in 1080p HD.
Exactly.
It's diminishing returns. Yeah.
We used to do 60 frames per second, 4K, because we had the capability.
Files would be 2 gigabytes each. Yeah.
Massive, like 8 gigabytes. And it's finally, right now, we're doing like 30 frames per second, full HD, 8-bit, like just whatever, you know? And if you didn't understand any of that, that's fine. You don't need to. You just got to click record.
Like, shoot your video, yeah.
All right, a couple other things on practical applications video. This is why it probably does need to be a 2-part video, is because there's just so much to talk about. Upselling to current clients. This one gets missed all the time. and it is just so valuable. If you have a campaign you're doing to current clients, use a video. All right, this is just an ongoing KPI for your life, whether you're the marketing person, salesperson, or owner. If you're going to sell anything, you need a video. If you're going to sell anything at all, have a video, okay?
Yep.
Like if you're going to upsell MDR to your clients, cool. You can write the greatest email copy in the world about why MDR is important, why you're moving them up $20 per endpoint per month or 10 or whatever. But in addition to that, have a video. Here's a good example of how we did that recently. We officially and finally rolled out MFA to all clients at Alltech. That was like 6 months or maybe longer than that. I don't know.
Probably closer to like 8 or 9.
Yeah. And we created a blog. We created an infographic that shows what happens on the IT side, what happens on the manager side, what happens on the end user side. And then we created a 1-minute video showing the user how to set up MFA and why they need to do it. We had zero pushback on the MFA, and I think within like a week, everybody had MFA because they were over communicated to what needs to happen and why. It wasn't, we're sending an email, we got to do MFA. Well, what the hell is MFA? Is that going to impact my job? Blah, 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 blah. You know, scared. When you over communicate things, like people just are more comfortable. They really feel like they know what's going on, what's going to happen next. And most of the time, the absolute best way to do that is through video. I hate to say sound like a broken record here, but that is why we use video so much and why we recommend video so much. That same large client that we brought on from a video was going to be rolling out SharePoint to like 400 employees. Massive project in our team, one of the largest quoted hourly projects ever. And they had an amazing communication director. And she was just really thoughtful and saying, I just don't want our people to be freaked out. I don't want them to be scared. You know, I just want to make sure everyone's comfortable with what happens next. So we literally created a micro campaign for that client. Steven, I really appreciate your help with that. You made it look awesome. And it was our team with an Alltech shirt explaining to this client, this is what your file share looked like before the project. This is what it's going to look like when we're on SharePoint. As you can see, not much changes. It's just in a different area.
Here it is, yep.
Yeah, and like this is what OneDrive Sync is. This is what we're going to need from you before we even start the project. This is how it's going to impact your workflow. It was like a 2.5-minute video. They sent it out to all of their employees. Their employees, 1, see Alltech being badass. They see 2, I feel confident and comfortable with what's coming next because my organization is thoughtful and really wanted to over-explain to me. And obviously, the client satisfaction with us just went through the roof. All of that, in totality, maybe took 5 hours and kept a large client sticky, and we've gotten lots of referrals from those clients. So video, and here, again, just specific ways that we've used it to not only get leads, but just improve our everything. It's not exactly what I was looking for, but just improve our, just business in general. So
yeah, I was going to add on too, because I was thinking about it. You're mentioning like emails, just having text and things like that. Video has a big ability to like enhance copy that's already there. So like an email text that might just be like, it's great written text, but if that's all it's in the email, in one ear out the other. You have a video on there, somebody watches that and is engaged, that same text hits the mark of what he was trying to do in the first place.
yes,
Just like it like multiplies the effectiveness of the text. Or this MFA campaign, obviously we had the infographics, we had the blog, all of that. Having a video there at the top, everything's stronger.
yes, completely agree. And these are all real life examples. It's not like we think you should do video because like the metrics on YouTube show it's growing 30% every year. It's like, okay, that's fine, cool. We know video is important, but it's like, what are the specifics at our MSP and MSP camp that we use it and it's worked beautifully? And like, that's what we hope to deliver you. That, no fluff, right? That's what we're trying to deliver, not just hype you up on why video is important. Like, these are all the things. I mean, we probably just did 5 or 6 different specific examples of how video helps, right? And obviously practical ways to do it. So I hope this is helpful to you. I hope you're excited to do video. I hope that you're removing all barriers and understand there's really no excuses, and get comfortable with on camera. It'll be worth it.
It opens up so many more options. Yeah,
totally. So a couple other things. We are coming to the end here before we move into part 3. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Okay,
Three-part epic of a video.
So I follow a guy on LinkedIn called Jonathan Edwards. He's in the UK. He does like a bunch of Microsoft 365 tips. He's also just really funny. Great. I mean, if you're not following Jonathan Edwards, honestly, if you're listening to this, you probably are following him because you're an MSP that is a consumer and creator of content. So he fits right inside that niche. He did a post recently. He had been trying to get a prospect to bite on his service for a very long time and never could. I forget exactly what he said. I don't know if he said the guy was rude or just ghosted him or what. Well, ever since he's been doubling down on video and creating actionable and interesting videos, specifically on his LinkedIn, that same person that he had been trying to reach through cold outreach reached out to him and closed the deal. And again, like, this is his update, right? Like, and I just love that because it shows the power of video. And you know what? The reality is it's not like he reached out as soon as Jonathan started doing videos.
The second the video was posted.
Right? Like it definitely took some time. And if you look at Jonathan's older videos versus where he's at today, holy shit. Like some of the thumbnails he's doing, they look so good. It almost looks like a stock photo, but in a good way. Like it looks so good because he just kept at it, and now he's getting leads to these videos because he's doubled down on video. So that's just a good example of inbound versus outbound. He tried the outbound for this prospect, which outbound works. I'm not saying outbound doesn't work, but then he switched to inbound. Let me create interesting content to get people to come to me, and now the deals close way easier, and you have things coming to you. So the effort is basically. We have a whole podcast on inbound versus outbound coming out, but that's the power of it.
And it's easy, like when you're there creating like video one at a time, you're probably thinking, because I think we've thought it too, it's like, oh, this thumbnail change, this update isn't really going to help. Having this information, putting on these subtitles isn't probably going to help. Should I keep doing it? But if you stick on that path and you keep doing it, then yeah, like you're saying, over a bigger period where we're looking at like 6 months, a year, and you can see on your YouTube channel, here are the old videos, here are the new ones, like
Totally.
It's always worth the effort.
Totally. 100%. So I was listening to another one of the marketing people I listen to that I really like his style. And he was explaining that when you see somebody on YouTube or if you listen to them on a podcast, it's basically indistinguishable from meeting them in real life. Now, that's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but I get what he's saying because I listen to him and I do feel like I know him. I really do. I feel like if I saw him on the street, I'd be like, Ryan, and he'd be like, who the
guy?
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, like that's the reality of content, especially video content. Like I think about, we just met Nikhil. He's an MSP camp member. Such an awesome guy.
Absolutely.
It was the first time I met Nikhil, but one, I felt really comfortable with him because he just seemed to know me. And he's like, I've listened to every one of your episodes. He listened to one that gave him the idea to start this nonprofit that provides penetration testing to companies. And he's getting lead after lead after lead. So it includes five computers with the penetration test. He showed me this the other day. He's such an impressive human. And he said he feels like he knows us. And he had Steven come in the room. We all just like met for the first time. I was like, this is amazing. This is so cool. Like, this is what video and podcasts can do. It can have your prospect feel like they know you to the point where, of course, they're going to buy because they trust you, because you're trustworthy. You've created so much content that, like, if you were full of shit or if you weren't a genuine person, it would come out. Mm-hmm. After 30, 40, 50 hours of content, people are like, oh, no, that guy's full of shit, right? Instead, they're like, no, I like you. I trust you, and I want to buy from you because even if you're not perfect right now, y'all are going in the right direction.
Yep. There's a benefit to not being a disembodied voice.
Totally, dude. And text, no matter how many blogs I write, no matter how popular our blog got, you know, are people going to like and trust us as much? You know, probably not.
There's a ceiling to it. I really do believe.
That's such a good way to put it. There's a ceiling to it, whereas there's not really a ceiling when it comes to video. Okay. And the reason I give that example, I hope this is helpful because I know I'm talking a lot, but I just feel like these are the points that really need to be like internalized for us to get on board with video. Yep. And this whole thing came from a rant that I was talking to my wife about like a couple days ago. But companies will spend $10,000, $20,000 to go to a conference booth, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, because in some cases it's actually a really good thing. You can go back to listen to our episode on should you get a booth at a conference. In certain situations, it makes sense. But when they're at that booth, they talk to 100, maybe 200 people. Like I would say on the best case scenario, they've had 200 really meaningful conversations. A YouTube video that gets 500 views seems like not much. That seems terrible. But that's 500 booth visits you just got for free. I would rather spend $10,000, $20,000 building out a content team or making incredible videos that can get 500 views, because that's going to mean more than that conversation at the booth. Do you agree with that?
No, absolutely.
That's
why I said I agree.
I'm like, are you sure you agree with it?
Agree again, please.
I was actually lying. I don't agree with that at all. So it's like, that is what I'm talking about. Like, that's it. That's why it's so powerful. People, will post on social media and like, I only got 100 views. Imagine a room full of 100 people staring at you. Some people get nervous going into a room and speaking in front of 100 people. That's what you're doing every day with your content. So if you don't get nervous when you're in a room talking to people, don't get nervous doing YouTube videos. And if you do, well, again, practice makes perfect. Let's work on it.
And thinking of it that way too, with the video, like this is a booth that somebody can revisit as many times as they want to at their own convenience, rather than just, here's, not saying don't do booths and stuff. Obviously there's a huge benefit to doing that as well, but it's a good way to recontextualize and really motivate you to keep doing video or start doing video.
That's why so many organizations put so much emphasis on sales, because if you spend $20,000 on that conference and you go to it and you have 200 conversations, you have to email that people, you have to call that people, you have to hammer it so hard because you got to get your ROI on that $20,000, where it's exactly what you just said, a YouTube video that's super helpful. And it took a lot more time maybe to create that at first. It's evergreen. It's the gift that keeps on giving. I looked at our podcast stats recently. There's about 10 to 20 people listening to stop using shit content our first episode. That means that they're starting the podcast for the first time. And sure, maybe not everybody's going to listen to every episode, but there's a meaningful number of those people that are going to go through every single
the whole journey
episode. They're going to start the whole journey, which is hours and hours and hours of what we hope is helpful and useful content for them. And I know we're always like, are we doing what we're doing? Is this actually helpful? And now that we've been doing this for coming up on almost 2 years now, the number of people that have reached out to us and said, this podcast gave me this idea, which has led to X. It's like I can't even quantify it anymore.
Yeah, you come for the backdoor joke and you stay for the actionable examples. It's working out so far.
What a great way to wrap it up. Good shit, Steven. Well, I know we covered a lot, and I know some of the examples were around MSP Camp, which is a channel company, not an MSP. We hope we gave you enough examples of both. The general idea is give you enough actionable reasons to use video to kind of make up what you need to do with this, what you want to do with this. You might have had a series in your head for quite some time. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably do. You probably have something you've been thinking about, like Aaron and his awesome onboarding sequence that's never been built yet. And you might go, I don't know who's going to edit it. I don't know who's going to film it. I don't know what I'm going to say. Just do it. Get it over to us. We'll edit it for you. We'll send it back in almost immediately. We've got a content team. How many people do we have? It's 8 people on our team now?
Yeah.
So don't worry. It's not going to slow any campaigns down. We've got an insane content machine right now. We can do this for you and get it going. This is not a sales pitch, because it's I forget we're charging almost nothing for it. I just want members to start using custom content as well, which is why the next episode's really going to get more in depth on that piece. Anything else on that before we kind of wrap up part 2, Steven?
I think this is a great way to end part 2. Yeah, I mean,
totally.
I think my last point here, which I included, is just becoming the authority in MSP video sets you apart from all your competitors. I feel like it's kind of common sense after covering the whole thing, but I mean, it's not happening in the industry. Really not at all. And it's benefited Alltech so much from putting video and everything. People specifically mention it when they're talking to you
all the time.
So it's just what better way to get started with video?
I do want to say something here, though, before we wrap up. I don't think, I've seen some bad advice on this, and maybe I'm just doing it wrong, but I don't think YouTube is going to bring you a lot of leads. I should be clear here. We're not saying start a YouTube channel where you are going to spend so much time and effort creating unboxing videos and all this to try and get YouTube subscribers and leads from YouTube for your MSP. That is going to be extremely difficult. I mean, of course, there's like Tom Lawrence who's killing it with that, but like, I just want to have this disclaimer now. Don't do that. Don't make the goal to get leads from YouTube. YouTube should be a place to hold your videos.
Yeah, a library.
A library to hold your videos.
Your website, send to clients specifically. Yep.
To use those videos in other ways that are actually going to be more meaningful.
Great point.
We have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views on the Alltech YouTube channel because, again, we create a lot of content on there. And I can't remember a single time that somebody reached out to us because they watched a YouTube video and was ready to buy managed services. Mm-hmm. That is not where the power of video comes in. And I just want to make sure I could kind of see as I was listening, as we were talking about this, that maybe that's where people think we're going with here. And it's not. That's why those 6 actionable things we said, notice none of them was start a YouTube channel to get leads from YouTube channel. That is maybe one day. That is not where it's relevant today, and that truly is an effort barrier, not worth it. We need to create videos that are lower effort, high quality that we can use in the sales meeting, that we can use on ads, which are great.
Yep, absolutely.
That we can use in all these different facets, but not to get a shitload of subscribers on our YouTube channel, which is never going to lead to anything. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so I know that was kind of a long disclaimer. Just make sure that's not your point that you got out of today.
You nailed it.
Awesome. All right, y'all. We really hope that was helpful. I know it was long, which is why we had to do part 1 and part 2, but hopefully it was helpful. We're going to stay more consistent with the podcast, so don't worry. We're not planning on skipping any more weeks. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Anything else before we wrap up, Steven?
I think I'm all good.
Cool.
I guess are we going to do a challenge of the week? I guess we kind of did it last episode, but just I think the best way to start out is go to those service pages.
Yes.
Think about how you can make a personalized video or pull some of the ones we have in MSP Camp.
Yes. Perfect challenge.
Just get started with it, and that'll get you thinking in the area of video and everything. 100%. Which is the title of the video. Do you get it?
Part 1 and part 2.
All right, let's finish.
All right. Thank you all so much. Seriously, it has been an absolute dream, a very hard-working dream, but a dream nonetheless. We really appreciate you guys for listening and for supporting us. We have some awesome stuff on the way, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yep. See ya. Thanks for listening as always, and watching. Or watching.
Or watching. Speaking of video. All right. Thanks, y'all.
Part 3 starts now.
All right. Bye.